Okay, Eric. You called us all here to this hospital waiting room for a meeting. What is up?
Baby boy. I hate hospitals. This better be good.
Yeah, it better be. Cause if it is not, you are going to be spending a few days here after I kick you.
Calm down. After I share this story with you, you will be so furious.
The last time I was here dealing with the homeless was when DC started housing first.
Was that when they placed your friend Tommy the crack addict in a home where they sold crack on the corner?
I remember that. He was beaten and left for dead. The Streets team filmed you at his bedside, challenging the DC government to do better.
How is Tommy? It has been about 3 years now.
He is a vegetable. He is brain dead. Oh no, Eric. How bad is this news you have to share?
The DC government has fallen short again. In this hospital a baby was born.
The baby was born. That is past tense. The baby is not here, but we are here. That does not make any sense.
Big fella. You rhyme like Heavy D. There has to be a good reason why we are here.
Well, this nonsense is enough reason for me to put you in this hospital for a few days. I am going to kick your...
Okay, everyone. Sit back down and I will let the mother tell you the story of how she gave birth in a hospital. Yet brought the baby home to the stairwell and Greyhound.
Hello. I'm here today with Denise Gibson. She is the young mother who spoke to Councilman Jim Graham on March 11th during a hearing, and she told of how that she, with her newborn baby, Nico, who was born on February 10th, had nowhere to live, and for the whole first month of his life, she was sleeping in either the Greyhound station or the stairwell of an unsecured apartment. And so she went before Councilman Jim Graham during the hearing on March 11th and told him her situation, and he expressed a lot of feeling about this issue, and he took steps to have her housed or put in shelter immediately. And so we're here to follow up with her and get her story on what exactly has transpired since March 11th.
Ms. Gibson, where are you living now?
Right now, like I said, like last night, I stayed at the Greyhound bus terminal. Like some nights.
Are you the young lady that Mr. McNeely
Mr.
spoke about earlier?
Brought me to you, and I appreciate your time for letting me come up and talk.
So you went to see him this morning.
Yes.
And you were in the Greyhound bus station last night.
Yes.
And is this your son?
Yes.
And what is your son's name?
His name is Nico Grant.
Nico?
Grant.
Grant. And how old is Nico?
He's 1 month.
1 month old. And where was he born?
Washington Hospital Center.
Washington Hospital Center.
Yes, and they're currently sending me bills. Like, I thought my Medicaid would cover, will cover me, but I guess not.
And how long were you in the hospital with this birth?
2 days.
2 days. And so what was the date of his birth?
February 10th.
February 10th.
Yes, 4:45.
And where have you been living since February the 12th?
Sometimes I go into my mother's apartment building like that and stay in there.
Do you go into your mother's apartment?
No, I go in the building because it's like she says, no security or things like that, so it's easy for us to stay there.
And where do you go in the building?
So I go in the stairwell, or some during the daytime, I be going to the library, things like that, but at night that's where I usually go.
But where do you go in the building?
Like I said, on the stairwell, no one's there.
Well, you want to give us an update on Nico? What's going on with him?
Well, he's good. He's eating healthy, sleep through the night. Basically, thank God for Jim Graham, because we would still be where we was at before we came here. And I mean, he's pretty good. He eats healthy, and he weighs 18 pounds.
Okay.
And basically, he can't care for himself. And if we're homeless, he's messed up. He's gonna lose all his healthy weight. He's not gonna look as good as he look now. And basically.
So he was born February 10th, right? then you left the hospital on February 12th, right? And then for the whole first month of his life, you were sleeping in the Greyhound or in the stairwell of
at my storage. I have a storage space.
Okay.
And basically,
so you were there with him in the storage space and in the stairwell and in the Greyhound. So he spent the whole first month of his life being homeless, you know, and you know, I think that's a terrible indictment on the city when you can't provide shelter or housing for a newborn and their mother.
Virginia Williams, I mean, they supposed to like place you, so I went there with my bags or whatever, and they turned me.
How many times have you been to Virginia Williams?
Probably about 6 times.
6 times? And what have they done for you there?
The only thing they really done was probably call, they call Catholic charities, missionary charities, and they just call places. That's basically it, and just send me off with tokens, like this young lady said.
Send you off with tokens?
Yeah, like we could just give you transportation.
Is this 6 times since Nico was born?
Yes, I was pregnant.
6 times since, when you were pregnant you went as well.
And then when I had him, it's been twice.
So
I was there yesterday, sitting in the office all day yesterday.
You sat in the office all day yesterday at Virginia Williams. Who helped you yesterday?
Miss Croft.
Miss Croft.
Yes, but she really didn't help because when I went back to her office, she was like, it was no point in me coming back there because she already told me that if it's not hypothermia, they can't do anything. No emergency placement. So.
You went to Virginia Williams yesterday with a baby where you've been sleeping in a stairwell and in a bus station. And you spoke to Miss Croft and there was nothing she could do?
Nothing at all. But tell me.
Let me ask you to take a seat back. What is your name?
Charmaine.
Charmaine, let me ask the director to come forward.
So Denise, you want to tell us what happened right after the hearing on March 11th?
Okay, after the hearing or whatever, Carol had asked me to go to the door and wait for transportation to arrive.
Carol is the interim director of Department of Human Services.
Yes, and so when they arrived, they transported me back to Virginia Williams, and I waited, and they wrote me a referral and transported me here to DC General Hospital, where now I stay at the family shelter. But now they're saying since hypothermia is over, that they're about to start evicting some of the families without providing them adequate housing or whatever. So at this time, like right now, like everything is like shut down basically because it's not hypothermia anymore. So like mothers and homeless families like myself is looking for, you know what I'm saying, the next step. Like what are we going to do next after DC General?
All right, so you don't know what your alternatives are. So we have this budget cut that's going on with DC government, and they're cutting. Well, there's a $20 million budget gap for homeless services for fiscal year 2012, and they're also cutting back on other programs. They're doing away with IDA altogether.
Yep.
They're cutting back on the Housing Production Trust Fund, which creates affordable housing. So they're defunding ERAP, which is the Emergency Rental Program. So
right, it's in Virginia Williams actually. The ERAP program is in the Virginia Williams building.
Okay. So you got no prevention in terms of ERAP. You got no shelter while you're homeless. You got nothing to get you out of homelessness through the creation of affordable housing. So you can't prevent it. You can't maintain yourself through the homelessness. You can't end the homelessness with affordable housing. So you have nothing basically, right? And so, I mean, what's the general sense of people in the shelter? I mean, are they worried too?
Yeah, they're worried. They're looking for housing right now. They're calling like low-income apartments, but their waiting list is closed for 2 years and won't open up. So I don't know. Like I don't know what none of us going to do. Like
Director Carroll, this is unusual, but this is so. You know, these last 2 stories are so upsetting to me that there's something I've got to hear from you at this point, because you've heard, and forgive me because the order is a little bit out of place. You've heard Tanisha Deval and you've heard Denise Gibson describe their situation. I mean, what is wrong with Virginia Williams and the people who are working there that they cannot find an emergency placement for this woman and their children. Now, Miss Duvall, you are at DC General, but where are you going to sleep tonight, Miss
I
Miss
probably was
Gibson?
gonna probably go to my storage, but my mom, she probably let me stay, I guess.
Director Carroll, we have to have a response from you on these issues. Can you speak into the microphone, because there's something very wrong. You have to pull the microphone towards you.
Thanks.
There's something very wrong here. Something exceedingly wrong. I mean, this little boy, Nico, I don't know, has he ever been in a bed?
His bassinet.
You know, why don't you take one microphone and let Director Carroll have the other? See, there are two microphones we can use. Has he ever slept in a bed
Yes,
or a crib
I mean, his bassinet just probably like once or twice,
since he's been born?
but usually it's in my arms though.
Do you know right offhand where you would go if the shelter closes, or when the shelter closes?
This is all I have. Like, I took everything out of my storage room. Everything from my storage room is here. So, nope.
Yeah, and so anyway, so do you want to send a message out to the council and the general public about the need for continued shelter and continued housing options?
Yeah. Like, we need this. Like, it's no, like this building, like, once we leave, this building's still gonna be here, and then, like, reopen up when it's cold. That don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? They might as well just leave it open year round. And I mean, like, we don't have anything. Like, if you want a riot in the city, basically, with homeless people and people that don't have anywhere to go, like, if you want a riot, that's that's gonna happen.
And you know it.
Robbing, stealing, killing, all that is just gonna go up the chart because we don't have anything. We have to go rob and steal and kill for it.
Yeah.
And I already been through this before. Like I said at the hearing, like, they took my daughter from me just because I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? So if they want that, then that's what they're gonna get.
Well,
go ahead, cut IDA, go ahead, cut TANF, go ahead and kick all the homeless people out. They're gonna get what they wanted. They're gonna get the riot, and the crime is gonna be...
Well, you brought up two important points. You said your daughter got taken away already. Because you were homeless?
Yep.
So were you living in the shelter at the time?
Yeah, at the time I was living in Covenant House, and then they found out that I was in Covenant House because, you know, when you stay in the shelter, it's confidential. They don't tell no one that you're there.
Right.
So when they found out I was at the shelter, like, because I was going to work and I was taking my daughter to the babysitter, so they went to the babysitter's house, and that's when they removed my child. Like, they took her, like, when I wasn't around.
So have they tried to take Nico away from you?
No.
Oh, well, that's a good thing they haven't tried to take Nico away from you. But the other thing you brought up, though, was about the spike in crime. And
That's
know,
what I think.
It's coincidental that you would say that, because I've been going all around town and talking to different homeless people. I've been saying it, and then they've been saying it, and then you just said it without even being coached by me, you know? And so, I mean, it's just... everybody feels the same way, and we're actually telling the city ahead of time that, you know, if you don't provide enough shelter, this is what's going to happen. And, you know, just this morning when I was leaving from WPFW radio, I saw a car that had the back window smashed out of it, you know, and I took pictures of it, and I'm like, this is going to happen a lot more, because people are going to do what they need to do to survive. You know, we aren't just going to sit down and starve. We aren't just going to sit outside in the trees. You know, we're going to
go get it.
Survive. We're going to go get it, right? Just like you said. You know, and so we're telling them ahead of time. And, you know, the other thing is that by us telling them ahead of time, by us putting all this effort into warning the council and warning DC government, if and when they do shut the shelters down, we're going to be like, we told you so. And so that's going to actually increase the impact as people begin to go buck wild. And so we don't want to see that. And so if you want DC to remain a safe city, you better make sure that we have enough shelter
what we need.
and enough housing. You know, and besides that, a lot of folks have been saying the same thing about how that it costs more to keep people in jail than to put them in housing. And
then the jail's gonna be packed, and they're gonna be shipping people out, and that's right where we're gonna be. All the homeless people gonna be either locked up in jail or dead. And I'm not going to jail, and I'm not gonna die. So
DC government is actually manufacturing their own crisis. Right, you know, and so that's why we have to keep making this point that they're actually manufacturing the crisis almost a year ahead of time, you know, and then if and when things do go downhill, we're going to say, hey, I told you so.
I want a response from the Department of Human Services as to what we're doing in a situation like this.
I think what we would have to do is investigate each individual case. the key facts that I've heard throughout is that in some cases, the days were not hypothermia days or nights. And right now, at least during hypothermia season, we have an obligation to house any participant that meets the definition of homelessness. And so it's going to be on a case-by-case basis as to whether or not I can respond to each individual circumstances and whether or not Virginia Williams acted appropriately based on that information. Generally speaking, though, as you know, the Family Services Administration budget through the Community Partnership for the Prevention of Homelessness is limited right now during hypothermia season, and they're legally obligated to house individuals and families during that time period. Because of the limitations that we have in the budget, we do not have a year-round shelter placement. And unfortunately, a lot of the other transitional and temporary housing programs that are available for families are full. So we're going to have to look at each individual case and determine in each case, based on the days that they were there, whether or not they were inappropriately denied shelter at that time.
But I just, you know, Director Carroll, I just cannot believe that a proper case management system functioning appropriately could not have found some response to this situation in this city. In all of the agencies that we have that are working, you know, I mean, and I know it's difficult to determine which are the most compelling cases, but by any standard, I would consider Ms. Gibson to be among the most compelling cases. I mean, it should be a priority one case. It should be a situation where a hotel should be made available to her. The city is not that hard up, and neither is the Department of Human Services, where this can be tolerated. Well, and you know, I'm sorry. I mean, there are just limits to the amount of patience that one can have with this situation. I mean, this little boy has basically not been asleep for a month, and I'm not going to be part of any D.C. government that results in this kind of treatment, and you don't want to either.
No, I certainly understand.
I'm not, but you know, there should have been a case management outreach. There are churches, there are nonprofits, there are other things to do, but I don't think that the people of Virginia Williams are making any real effort. If they're making any real effort, I am not seeing it. Well, and keep in mind that for 15 years, I was the executive director of the Whitman Walker Clinic, and we had all manner of people show up on our doorstep who were homeless and sick, and we found ways to respond. And I'm not feeling that same kind of energy coming out of Virginia Williams. Who is the director of Virginia Williams today? I want them at my next hearing here, because they should be answering these ladies, not me, and really not you. Because this is the type, I mean, I'm very angry at this. And I know that Miss Pat Handy has just left the room. I don't know why. Because her name has been mentioned as somebody who has had, you know, well, how did you describe your reaction from Pat Handy? Rude. So anyway, I want something better out of the Department of Human Services than this. And you can't tell me that an active case management effort wouldn't have produced something. But to send this woman to the stairwell of her mother's apartment or to send her to the Greyhound bus station is just not what we want to hear.
I certainly agree with that.
All right. So I want accountability from these employees. One of the things I absolutely demand from the D.C. government is that when people don't behave appropriately, that they're held accountable for their behaviors. Okay. And you have Ms. Croft has been mentioned, Pat Handy has been mentioned. I want to know what their behaviors were, what their performance was in these situations.
We have, within the Office of Accountability, the Homeless Services Monitoring Unit, and we'll have them investigate each of the allegations and report back to the council.
Right. I mean, we need on-site supervision. I mean, somebody at Virginia Williams, and if I was Virginia Williams right now, I know Virginia Williams. If she's listening to this hearing, if I were her, I'd say, please remove my name from this office. You know, if this is an example of what's being done in her name, and she is the mother of the former mayor of the District of Columbia. But I think we need some on-site supervision. I think we need to know what the director of the center is doing with people like Miss Gibson sitting in the waiting room.
Right.
I mean, does she come out of her office? Does she talk to people? Does she look and see what's under her very nose? Does she?
I would think that she does. I know she's called me on a number of occasions for different things.
Well, I appreciate you coming out of order like this, but and the next thing I want you to do is I want you to take. Well, you are a DC General. We don't know for how long, but you're a DC General, so that's good news. But Miss Director Carroll, I want you to meet now with Ms. Gibson.
Sure.
Pardon me? What is the name of the director of Virginia Williams?
Her name is Jean Hunter.
Can you speak up, please?
Amanda, excuse me? Yeah. It's Jean Hunter.
Jean Hunter.
Hunter.
Is that a woman?
Yes.
Because Jean can be a man's name, too. All right. Well, I hope she's listening to this hearing. Do you think she's paying any attention?
Hopefully she's running the center.
Well, hopefully she is, and hopefully there's not another Ms. Gibson sitting in the waiting room right now. Because if there is, she ought to get out of her office and get into the waiting room and figure out what an aggressive and creative case management process can produce.
Will do.
And this ain't it. This is not it. I mean, I know firsthand this is not it. You know. So will you meet, Ms. Gibson, will you meet with Director Carroll now?
Yes.
So that we can figure out what to do with your immediate situation?
Yes, sir.
Like today?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under.